I'd say is a nut job.
Well guys, welcome back to the channel. Now I'm going to start this video off just a hair different than I normally do. We got Waylon back in here, and this week in this video we're going to try to get a lot knocked off the list on Waylon and try to get him pretty close to being ready to hit the road. Now we're going to start this video a little different. There's some people that have just joined the channel and they don't know where this truck came from. It just kind of shows up here one day, or anything about it. So I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of Waylon up to this point, and it's gonna be a really quick, like a 30-second, 40-second little blurb, just to kind of speed catch you up. Now, if you go back through the channel, you will find videos on us actually doing work to the truck to get it to this point now. So let's give you a quick little catch up. We picked the truck up from a tree row and got it on a trailer and headed toward the house with it. Kind of looked cool with that camper shell on it, didn't it? We got it home, ditched the camper shell, cleaned the truck up, gave it a bath, and ripped the suspension out of the front of the truck and got ready to lower the truck 5 inches overall. Looks good sitting there on the ground like that, doesn't it? After a good bath, the old white on the hood and all started coming out with some of that red primer gone. Got the engine in a coat of paint, some cool valve covers on it, gave it that right vintage look. Threw some copper wheels on it with some Mickey Thompson ET streets out back, and that's where we are. All right, so now you can see there that we kind of ran through it pretty quick, but the idea behind this truck started from another channel, Hot Rod Guy Garage, who wanted to kind of show people that you could still do budget builds, that it was still possible. So I grabbed a hold of that idea and I ran with it. The idea of this was to show you that you could still build something cool on a $3,000 budget. I think a $3,000 budget is realistic for people today. So that is the first incarnation, as we're gonna call it, of Waylon, is a $3,000 budget build. Now, throughout time, we'll add a little here and add a little there, and we may go over, but I want to show you it's possible to build something cool, to get on the road and enjoy it for less than $3,000. Now, we've been keeping track of the budget right over my shoulder right there, and then we're gonna dig back into this thing and try to button up the things that we can do in this video, and maybe, just maybe, before the end of this video, you actually get to hear Waylon fire up and run. That's kind of a goal. Okay, I decided to push the truck back further into the shop. The way I had it before, it was fairly close to the front of the shop where the door is. I decided to push it way back inside. My original game plan was I was just gonna get under it, pull the transmission out, put the clutch kit and all in it, stick the transmission back in, and move forward. I've kind of decided I'm gonna go ahead and pull the motor and transmission as one unit, and barking tree spider. I'm gonna pull the motor and transmission as one unit, and address the clutch and stuff then. But while the motor and transmission is out, I'm gonna address a few things under the engine bay that are kind of bothering me. Stuff that, actually doesn't matter at all, but it's kind of bothering me. One of the things that bugged me, and it was my fault, I thought it would look cool, is I painted this firewall that kind of burgundy, blood red kind of color. Thought it would look good, thought it would match the truck. It actually does not match the color of the truck. I don't like that color on the firewall, and I thought if I left it in there long enough that I would just get used to it and grow to love it. And actually I figured once I had the motor in it, I wouldn't want to go through the effort to take it back out to do it, but the color bugs me so much that I can't leave it in there. I've got a brand new idea for it that's probably going to look twice as bad, and I'm going to hate a lot more than that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that idea, but got to get the motor out first. Now, I know some of you wonder where the kid is because she hadn't been in this video yet, and she may not make an appearance in this video at all. She was actually on vacation from school in the last couple of videos. She's going to school to be some kind of lung specialist, pulmonary, respiratory person thing. She's going to fancy doctoring school, and she's back at school this week. She may or may not make an appearance this weekend, and we may or may not be anywhere on this thing by this weekend. So if you're curious where she is, that's where she is. Not sure she'll make an appearance in this video or not, but she'll eventually be back. So as you've seen in the intro part there, kind of rescued the truck from an old tree row, had an old camper shell on it. You've seen all that stuff. A little more on the history of this truck is the guy that owned this truck before my buddy, he done some kind of racing, some kind of roundy round racing. I don't know if it was asphalt or dirt track, I really don't know. But the camper shell was on the back of it because they would go to the racetrack, haul the car to the track, and then they would sleep in the back of the truck. Kind of a man after my own heart, you know what I mean? Because, well, y'all know, y'all seen some of the other videos that I have a truck bed tent and we sleep in a truck bed at the track when we go racing. It's kind of cool that in some way this truck is going to keep doing the same thing that it has been doing. Leastwise, I think it's kind of cool anyway. Get this thing bolted down here and get this engine ready to snatch up out of here and see if we can't make some proper decisions. It's questionable. It's questionable that I ever make a proper decision, but we're gonna try anyway. I have 2 weeks to get it completely done and be able to drive it around. Not because it has to be an event in 2 weeks, but I'm going on power tour. And then when I get back from power tour, we're back one day and I have to leave for the event that this truck is part of. So, yeah. Hey guys, let me, while I'm getting ready to pull this motor out and get my tilter ready here, let me hit you with some thoughts here for a second. I'm seeing a lot here lately on, first off, I think social media has done more to hurt the car community than any other platform. And here's why I say that. I see a lot of stuff here lately where young people are asking for advice on how they should do this or how they should do that, or a young person has posted a photo or a video of a project that they put their blood, sweat, and tears into to get put together. And instantly, they're getting negative comments from people. People are hating on their build, talking bad about them. People are telling them that they need to learn more, that that won't never work, or what have you. Listen, you won't find that here, ever. You want to build a car with a 2x4 wooden frame in it, more power to you, son. Get out there and get on it, put your little 5 horsepower go-kart motor on it, and get after it. No hate here. let me tell you, if you love this hobby as much as I do, or as much as you say you do, if you love this hobby, you've got to get the next generation involved. You know how to turn the next generation off? Keep telling them everything they're doing is wrong. If you think it's wrong, offer them actual help. Don't belittle them on social media. Now, I'm going to get saddle sore, so I'm going to step off this high horse for a minute and get this hooked up. Sounded like a good idea anyway. Come here. Come here, buddy. All right, engine is out. It's on the floor. Pull the transmission off, pull the bell housing off. Probably pick it up about eyeball level. Slap all my parts in. Slap this back together. And then put it back in the truck. Pretty simple, but while it's out, I'm gonna address this hideous firewall that I just can't look at any longer. I just can't. There's people out there told me just leave it alone and let it go, but I wish I could. I really do. I'm excited this is finally starting to happen. It's been a long road for me getting here. I've been trying to get a shop truck put together since, let's see, 2018 maybe. And I've built a couple, didn't keep them. One of them got stolen actually. And so yeah, I have no idea what happened to that truck. I've never heard anything else about that truck. That truck just vanished. No word to ever be heard from again. So this is my third attempt at having a shop truck. Hopefully, we like this one a lot better. And hopefully this one lasts and hangs around for a while. You know the old saying, every 10-minute job is one bolt away from being an hour job, a day job, a week job. Wrong flywheel bolts. These are too short. Starting to think the universe does not want me to have a shop truck. We're gonna go to town and see if we can find some of these bolts in stock somewhere. And trying to get this thing put together so we can actually fire it up today. Maybe not today, but by the end of this video. So for you, it'll be the same day. For me, it may be the same day, because this is really all I gotta do. I got one on this firewall. Seriously, every 5-minute job is one bolt away from being an all-day job. So apparently, flywheel bolts I had were not the correct bolts. Even though I thought they were not. I had to go to town and get some more, which was a trip to town. But the only thing they had is these weird, you know, these got these funky head on them, which a lot of people like better, these 12 points or whatever they're called. And a lot of people like those better. I am not one of those folks. But in this case, it's kind of like prom night in the 80s, and the only person that didn't have a date was Bucktooth Becky, and you kind of got to go with what you can get. Remember, when you put in your pilot bushing, it's just brass. Be gentle, guys. You're not Babe Ruth, and you're not trying to hit one out of the fences. Just gentler in there. It'll go. All right. Let's see if I can find my alignment tool now and get this bad boy together. Yeah. Always good to keep one of these around in your toolbox. Oh, look at this fancy thing. Woo! Woo! Keep in mind, guys, listen up, this is for educational purposes. That make sure when you're running a high-end clutch that you break it in properly. Yes, there is a break-in on clutches. The clutch company that you get it from will tell you. Some of them is like 500 depresses or something like that, but they'll have a spec that tells you what you're supposed to do to properly break the clutch in. Because the last thing you want to do is invest in a super nice high-end clutch setup and then smoke it out of the gate. Tech tip, I guess you'd say, as you're tightening this thing down, always make sure your tool slides in and out effortlessly. Just take your finger, loop it around it, and make sure it just right in and out without any problems. Just like when you were 18. There we go, a complete ram setup on here, ready to go. Is that not one of the nicest clutch setups? Man, it's a shame they don't make clear bell housing so you can look at that thing. Of course, you need a clear floor pan so you can see through the clear bell housing. I'm not sure I'd want to watch that. It'd probably get scary. All right, bell housing is on. A couple bolts in it before it's on my toes. Now the real question is, do I have a starter? Actually, I know one starter. It's an old starter off the Galaxy, and it's missing a tooth. What's the odds that that would actually work? You know it's a bad idea, but anybody that's watched this channel for a minute or two knows I'm thinking about it. We're close. We are close. I'm gonna snug these bolts down good, spin this thing around and get it ready so that I can line the transmission back up and get the transmission on it. And fellas and fellettes, we'll be there. We'll be there then. Yeah. When I was younger, I'd take these old Ford transmissions and I would throw them up on my knees. I'd get under the car and I'd put them in my lap, have them up on my chest, slide under the car, and I'd slide them down on my knees and use my knees, pick them up, slide them up in the car. And
Well, there's nights that I can't hardly get out of bed anymore. So I have kind of learned my lesson about taking care of myself. And now I tend to work a little smarter and let the old jackaroo do all the work, or at least all the lifting anyway. Fortunately, I'm going to hit the engine hoist there, so I'm going to have to maneuver it around a little bit, but that's okay. Moving around a little bit is a whole lot better than having to tote it. Yeah.
When it's 2 a.m. and you've got an idea and you can't turn your brain off. Yeah. Yeah, that's me. It's and there's some coyotes right over the hill over there, and they're extremely talkative tonight. Yesterday was a long day, and I'm not even sure I'm fully recovered from it, but we got to get back to it. The first thing I'm going to do this morning is get the motor and transmission that's now assembled back into the truck, set down, and actually what I hope to be bolted down for the final time. And we're going to be to the point where we're ready to start assembling this truck. We're on the home stretch, and there's a few things that I don't have that I'll have to get. So the payoff in this video will not be getting to see it drive, but hopefully the payoff will be getting to hear it crank up and run. That would be a great way to end this video. Now, I don't know for sure that that's going to happen because honestly, yesterday was a long day and I'm kind of blanked out, so there may be some stuff I'm missing that I don't know about or can't remember at the moment. But let's just get the motor in this thing and start from there. Installed.
Now guys, keep in mind as you follow along with this build, this isn't about building the greatest thing in the world. This isn't about building a high-end
super duper fancy show vehicle or none of that stuff. The whole premise of this is to build a budget truck or car or whatever, a budget vehicle that anybody can build at home. So pretty much everything I do to this is going to be something that any absolute average Joe could do at his house. And the idea is to do it on a $3,000 budget. Now, that part in the modern world, it's a little more difficult. I'm not gonna lie about that. You've kind of got to be willing to take what you can get kind of thing when it comes to a vehicle and stuff. But if you'll search around, you can find something cool. For me, the only parameter that I really had was I wanted a truck because I wanted to build a shop truck. I wanted a truck that was mostly complete, running, none of that didn't matter, but mostly complete so that I could use the things that were already on the truck. I can freshen up the motor a little bit on a budget. I can put brakes on it on a budget and things like that, but I can't go out and buy a complete motor, a complete transmission, a complete rear end, a complete front end. I can't go out and buy a complete interior and all that stuff and stay on a $3,000 budget. So we'll go over the budget here in just a few minutes, and you can see everything that we've done up to date, and we can talk about the things that we still have to do. But let's get this thing bolted down and get it to start looking like we're actually doing something. I'm putting a clamp to hold the radiator in place because this radiator, although it is made for this body style truck, it looks like the mounting horns on the truck are bowed just a hair, just enough so that the holes don't quite line up. So I'm gonna put a little clamp on it to hold it in place while I check other stuff to make sure all the other stuff is gonna bolt up like it should, so the bolt holes don't line up. Either way, it's an easy fix, but we're gonna move past it and check on everything else at this second. Oh, and just so you don't have to repeat yourself, yes, I have got your hate mail about the Elderbrock carburetors, and I do understand that you are completely furious and mad and want to burn the world down because I put Elderbrock carburetors on my engine. So keep in mind a few things. First off, this is a budget build, which means we use what we have. I had this intake laying around. This intake is made for Elderbrock carburetors, so therefore I didn't put Hollies on this. Every other vehicle I own has a Holly on it. This is the only thing I own that has Elderbrocks on it. It's made for this intake. Two, I actually do own adapters now to run Hollies on this thing, but that would blow the budget, and this is about a budget build. So they may go on it down the road somewhere, but for the purposes of what we're building, this stays on here. The next thing that you should understand is that it doesn't matter if you really like Hollies or Elderbrocks. I am not telling you to build a vehicle exactly how I build it. What I'm showing you is a blueprint to how you can build a vehicle for a tight budget. You do not have to use every part that I do. You do not have to even use a Ford. And the last but very most important thing you need to understand here, before you, on your little keyboard there, understand it doesn't matter to me what your opinion of the parts I use are, because I'm a grown man and you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm not some little kid that's going to sit in the corner and cry about it. But what you need to understand when you're sitting over there, mean comment coming, understand this, that you are the reason that young people are not getting into the hobby, because you want to criticize every part they use. You do not have to do it the way that I do it. But understand that when young people get into this hobby, they're going to do it with what they have available to them, which may mean doing it this way. Do not criticize them and destroy them to the point where they do not feel like this hobby is a place they want to enjoy. Allow them to enjoy the hobby. They will find out down the road their own opinion of what carburetors are garbage and what carburetors are good, and they will form their own opinions on what brand, Ford, Chevy, or Dodge, or well, that's it, is good and what is bad. They will understand that. So chill out. Okay, so now it's time for me to do something I'm kind of horrible at, which is make a list. So I'm gonna make a list of the things that I still don't have. That way, when I go to town, I can do everything at one time and not have to make 15 trips. So I don't have a good starter. I need a solenoid switch. What else do I need? I need an oil filter. I need rad hoses. That may in fact be everything I need. When I first put the Galaxy together, I had trouble finding a set of headers that would fit the Galaxy. And if you've ever tried to put headers on a Galaxy, you understand what a friggin' nightmare that is. So from late 2018 till about a month ago, maybe, I ran these headers. These are a Sanderson shorty header, and I found them on eBay, still new in a box, but a guy was selling them stupid cheap. And well, you know me, I'm a sucker for stupid cheap. So these ran on the Galaxy. Well, this year I finally got a set of Hooker Super Comp long tube headers for the Galaxy. That leaves these sitting on the shelf. Now I know it's easy to find long tube headers for a truck, and actually, just so you understand, you can find long tube headers for a truck pretty cheap. I can find long tube headers if you go on Facebook Marketplace for probably $150 for a truck. They're not hard to find, but these are free and they're here. And again, we're building a budget vehicle. Okay, so here's where I'm at. I'm just laying parts around the truck, kind of taking inventory of what I got and what I need to get. As I mentioned before, I've got to align these holes a little better on that. So I just got a clamp holding that in. Just kind of laid the headers in there. I laid a coil up on top of the motor. Basically just laying stuff around the truck that I know I need, so that I can know what I don't have. I got a starter here somewhere. I hadn't put my hands on it yet, but right now it's looking like I don't have an oil filter in stock. I thought I did, but I don't. Of course, I need an alternator and a belt. And I got some alternator brackets. I just got to find them. A set of plug wires. And I think under the hood, that's all I'm missing, I think. I got the wiring harness here marked that plugs up and runs across the firewall and drops down and all. I may come up with a creative way to hide the wires. Haven't dug into that yet, but again, just making a little list of things that I need.
So where am I with Waylon right now? Well, what have we got done? You've seen a lot of it, but let's take a look at where we are, on what we need to do, and the things I still got to get for this thing. It's a little bit of a list.
All right, got our headers on, radiators mounted, carburetors are on, all that's done. There's a couple things that I've run into. First off, what I need, I still haven't got the starter. Of course, hoses, alternator, belt, plug wires, the basic stuff to get ready to fire it. And I got to run the fuel line. I got to put the wiring on. The wiring harnesses right here, but I'm gonna doctor it a little bit. Run into one issue here with the clutch linkage down here. It's not straight. The clutch fork is not, or the Z-bar is not straight across. It's cocked at a little bit of an angle, actually an angle this way, which is throwing the rod at an angle this way instead of, anyway, I got to do a little doctoring on the clutch right there a little bit, but we're close. We're very close, very close. Now here is the reality of the situation. I want to go test in the Galaxy Friday, but I got to work on the brakes on it. So this will have to come out of here end of the day today, no later. So tomorrow I can work on the brakes on the Galaxy and make a couple changes. I don't know if my starter and stuff will be here in time, so we may not get to fire Waylon in this video. It may be the next video we have to fire him off in, but it's very close to being done. So I've ran into a slight impasse here. It's very few times that I get completely just brain fried on how to fix something. This is one of those times. I thought we was ready to button everything up and be ready to let her rip, but I'm having a clutch, it's not the clutch, a Z-bar alignment issue. Keep in mind, these trucks came with Y blocks in them. Y block 3-speed on the column. Now, you move up to the cars, even of the same era, the Z-bar, the rod came through the firewall, and the Z-bar was down on the frame, and they went straight across to the engine, and these FEs have a bracket that bolts to the block, so everything lined up. These trucks didn't work like that. The rod goes straight through the bottom of the floor, and the Z-bar is on top of the frame rail. And when I put this FE in it, now the Z-bar goes, it goes forward like this toward the motor, and it goes down like this. So it's a compound weird angle. Now I can't move the frame side of the Z-bar back because these trucks also had the steering box that's made the steering column, so they go straight down through. So I don't have any room to bring the Z-bar back. Or, I'm sorry, that's the wrong side. I can't bring the engine side back, and even if I cut the bracket and elongate it, I can't bring the engine side back because the steering box is there. And if I bring the frame rail side up, then the rod that goes through the floor no longer aligns, and it goes through the bottom of the floor, so it's not like I can just move it forward because the firewall's there. So if I re-engineered everything, I mean,
I've run into an impasse. It's a yellow jacket here. It's really a conundrum right now. Let me kind of show you what I'm talking about, and maybe I can explain a little better if you got a visual. All right, so let me see if I can get a light so you can see what I'm doing. This is the Z-bar it comes across. Right here is the steering box. Here's where the Z-bar mounts to the frame. And over here, I've got it off of there right now, but there's a bracket that bolts to the block here. Well, brings the Z-bar up and down at a weird angle. Let me try and get my hand in there. It brings the Z-bar up and down at a weird angle. The Z-bar needs to be up and it needs to come back to work. Well, I can't because the block's there. And I can't move the engine back a whole lot because, well, I'm right at the firewall right here. Well, over here, even if I could move the engine back, well, then the steering box is right here and I can't move the Z-bar back that way. So really, one of the few, and I can't move this forward, as I was saying before, because the rod didn't come out of the firewall here. The rod comes out from under here and under the floor. So if I move this side forward, then that rod that comes through the floor under here, which you can't really see, it's right here. That rod that's under there, sorry guys, I'm trying to get you some good light, but my phone's in the way. The rod that's under there, then it can't come forward enough to line back up if I move this side forward. And I move this side back, the steering box is in the way. So yeah, right now the Z-bar is being a real conundrum and I can't figure out a way to make it work. You move up to the Galaxies and stuff, the car's steering box is way up here and the Z-bar is down on the frame, inside the frame. So it's so yeah, I couldn't get enough light to shine in there without making a shadow on my phone and all, so it's kind of hard to show you exactly what I'm dealing with. But basically, I'm boxed in. As I was saying, if to move the one side back, the rod comes through the floor for the pedal. If I move that side forward to make everything line up, then the rod that comes through the floor won't line up. If I move the block side back, then it hits the steering box. Now, I may, and even if I move the block side back on that side, then the fork that comes out of the bell housing hits that cross member that goes under the bell housing. I'm kind of boxed in. So we may end the work on Waylon right here just because I've got to mentally figure out a way to get around this. Now, I know what everybody's going to say. The quick, easy way to get out of this would be go hydraulic clutch. But keep in mind, this is supposed to be a budget build. I can't drop the kind of coin that a hydraulic clutch would cost because then I've got to change my pedal. I've got to have the hydraulic master cylinder, the line, the hydraulic throwout bearings. It's not as simple as just bolting something on. So I got to figure out a way to make what I have work. And it may come in the form of robbing a different Z-bar off of a different kind of vehicle, or I don't know. I'm going to have to mentally work through it. It would have been easy for me to fabricate something, come up with something, and then come back on the video and fire up the truck and drive it away and be all smiling about how great it worked. But I want to be honest with y'all and realistic with y'all. When you do something out of the box and you go left field, then you're going to run into stuff like this. And to be fair, I never paid any of this stuff any attention when I took the truck apart, so that thing may have never worked. Well, in this situation, there's no way it ever could have worked. So it's one of these deals where we're going to have to come up with a unique situation for a unique problem. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to show you all the stuff as we go through. Seeing as how I'm really boxed that I can't move anything anywhere, really, and it not be in the way of something else. Right now, I want to stop and put enough thought into it so that I'm not having to move 12 things
if I only needed to move 4 things, if that makes sense of what I'm trying to say. So yeah, we've worked our way into a bit of a conundrum, and right now that is a screeching halt to progress on the truck. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come up with something kind of clever for this one. Well, after all the figuring and fighting, turns out I was fighting an even bigger issue. Yeah, the Z-bar itself was actually broken and bent. Well, there's some days when you don't work because you're tired. And some days you don't work because you're waiting on parts or something. And then there's some days when you call it a day because you got boned by an elephant. Yeah, now I gotta find a Z-bar that'll work. Yeah, I'll just run down to O'Reilly's. All right, so today is the day I should have this out of here this morning in the Galaxy in here so we can button up some things on the Galaxy to get it ready to go testing tomorrow afternoon. But I'm gonna rob a little time this morning and try to work my way out of this situation. Now, it's a compounded situation. First off, this greasy, nasty Z-bar right here, I showed you yesterday, it's completely destroyed. It's like ripped apart right there. That Z-bar is not available, made out of unobtainium. 66 and up, you can get it. But not for a 63. Okay. And that's fine because the 63 never came with a FE in it that I can find any documentation on anyway. So I'd be fighting battles with it anyway. This whole situation I've started to figure out has compounded because I was trying to follow the work that somebody else had done. And I don't know, you probably can't see it here. Hold on. Let me get a light right here. Untangled off my wall of crap I got stacked up here. You see that right there, that little pipe right there, that little pipe that goes over the engine. Okay, that little pipe is the issue for this whole entire thing. So what's going on is somebody basically built their own motor mounts to put a motor like this in, because the Y blocks are mounted from the front off the front pulley. So somebody built this motor mount system. It holds the motor, does what it's supposed to do. The problem is where it's located is wrong. And I was trying to take the quick way out and use what was already there and set the motor on it. And the motor set in there, it's fine. The problem is when you start trying to line everything else up, like the Z-bar, for instance, it's off. It doesn't go straight out and back like this. It's off at an angle. Probably could make that work, but then instead of being off just this way, it's off like this as well. It's down and forward, and it's compounding the issue. So if I'm gonna have to go through the trouble to remake the Z-bar and move stuff around, then what I'm gonna do to start with is I'm gonna set the motor where I want it. I'm gonna set the motor as far back as I can get it and raise it up just a little bit and set it where I want the motor. And when I get the motor set where I want it, I'm gonna build the motor mounts to fit the motor where I want it. Then I will build the Z-bar to fit where I want it to fit. So that allows me to set everything up so everything's straight, basically is what I'm saying. It's the only way I know to get out of the situation it's in, because I'm gonna have to make parts now. There's just no other way around. So quick update, what I've tried to do now is I've actually moved the motor back and up a hair. I used washers, you can see them right there. I used washers to kind of space the motor mount up just as a mock-up. I moved the motor back. You can see she's right at the firewall now. Just enough room to get that bolt for that valve cover out. But if you look right there, that's the fork coming out of the clutch, and it's right up on that brace. It's literally touching it. Means if I move the motor back so that the pivot points line up for the Z-bar, then the clutch fork hits the brace on the frame there. Now I could cut that out, but it would require, you know, pulling everything back apart because I gotta get the motor and transmission out to do it. And yeah, I'm running out of options to try here, and I gotta figure out some kind of ingenious solution. And what it may entail is just backing up and punting here. It may entail pulling the motor and transmission all back out of this truck, cutting out all the old engine mounts and all that junk that was already in here, and just starting with a clean slate. I probably should have done that to start with, but it may be easier for me just to cut everything out, grind the frame down to bare metal, set the engine back over in here. May use one of these old blocks and just set it over in here, and mock up where the motor mounts and all need to be, and just go that route. I mean, it's turning into one of those things now. Every solution I try to come up with presents 3 problems behind it. The Z-bar was the only issue I had that way, where this way I'm fighting other issues. The header don't fit now because it hits the steering box. The clutch fork won't work now because it hits that spot on the frame, that brace on the frame. So I think I'm going to end up having to move the motor back forward, and I'm just going to have to modify the Z-bar as I was talking about in that earlier clip. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of got herself into a little pickle here. Yeah, I don't know. Boy, we thought we had the cat by the tail with this one when we got the motor in it. Got the motor in it and got everything set in there, mocked up. Everything looked good. Never even fathomed the Z-bar for the clutch would be an issue. So I'm going to have to switch gears. I'm going to have to get the Galaxy ready. I'm going to have to get the Galaxy ready for tomorrow evening. There's a couple things I want to do on it. I'm going to get that ready. Once that is done and ready, then I'll jump back over here. I've got some ideas here. I've got ideas. None of them are good ideas. Let's be honest about it. None of them are good ideas, but I've got some ideas on some things that I can try and see where I can get at. Yeah, I'm kind of in a bit of a mess right now. Well, in case you haven't figured it out yet, you're not going to see this truck run in this episode. Oh, nothing will give you highs and lows in a short period of time like putting together a vehicle. Yeah, I'm not real sure how I'm going to address this problem yet. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to come up with some ingenious solution, but I don't know what it'll be yet. Man. Just kind of lets the wind out of these sails for a second. I mean, I'll get it done. I'll get it figured out. I just don't know if I'm going to have it for that event now because I don't know if time will allow me to because I got some stuff to do with the Galaxy. And I didn't really come up with a plan B. Okay, I just made the biggest mistake you can make when putting a vehicle together. I allowed frustration to set in. And once you allow frustration to set in, all you can see is problems. So we're gonna back up a little bit. I know some of you may be a little confused right now, but I just got to back up a little bit. Here's what I'm going to do. Instead of just ripping the whole thing apart and starting over from scratch, I'm going to give it one more chance for what I got to work. And here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to move it back to where it was. I'm going to move the motor back forward, back down, everything just like it was. Because at that point, the only issue I had was the Z-bar. If I've got to redo the Z-bar anyway, I'm just going to make the Z-bar fit what's already here instead of just ripping it apart. Now, if I was building this thing from the frame up, or if I was starting from scratch, then I wouldn't even attempt to make this situation work out like this. I would do basically what I was talking about before. I'd clean the frame up, I'd set the motor where I want it, I'd build me some mounts, I'd set the transmission where I want it, build me some mounts, and I would build everything back that way. But there's already pretty much everything here, and it's just kind of in the wrong places. So instead of trying to do that, I'm going to move everything to a spot where the least amount of things need to be changed, which would be the Z-bar. So I'm going to get the engine hoist hooked back up. I took my radiator out because I don't want to damage my aluminum radiator. I've been playing with fire with that. So I'm going to pick this up, move it back forward, start from scratch, start from zero where I was before, and go from there, and just slow down. Your biggest enemy will always be yourself. Despite what you hear on the internet and social media and all that, all the haters and everything that want to put you down for what you're doing and everything, there will never be anybody that will let you down as much as you will let yourself down. And I allowed frustration to set in for a moment. I seen all these things in front of me that I was trying to get to, and the window of time getting small, and there was a second there where we almost gave up and just said, we're just gonna put the truck out here, we'll get back to it eventually, and just we'll eventually get back to it. I've came a long way on this road to just let one part mess me up this bad. So again, if some frustration set in, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. Okay, reset. I'm back to where I was. Let me give you a little pointer here. I have moved up again. I put washers under here just temporarily as a spacer. I'm gonna have to put a new motor mount here anyway. This rubber's pretty well shot. So I'm gonna build solid mounts, and I'm just trying to get my spacing right. Back up, monstrous amount of room now. So the motor's moved back forward. So now we're back to where we've got plenty of room. I know I don't have a lot in here, but we've got plenty of room behind the clutch fork now for that to operate. So we're back to where right here is the pivot ball for this side and this side over here. And I know it doesn't look like it here, but it is a drastic kind of angle this way. So we're back to where this is the only problem now. So I think I'm gonna, if you look, there's a bolt here and there's one in the back. I think I'm gonna unbolt it, move the whole bracket forward, drill new holes, and just move this bracket forward and have the bar across here, get this side hooked up like it's supposed to be. Then fix the rod over here so it lines up with the floor. And I think that's gonna be our way out of it. Now, that's not gonna be a 5-minute fix, but it is the simplest fix, I think. Not even gonna lie about it, guys. I was getting really frustrated there to the point where I just wanted to quit on it, but I had to keep going because it's not like I have any choice. So I have found what I think to be the simplest solution. It's probably not the best solution, because honestly, the best solution would be to pull motor and transmission back out, put this thing up in the air a little bit higher, get under it, and cut all the bracing, or not braces, but all the cross members, the motor mounts or the frame mounts. You know what I'm trying to say. Cut everything off, so I just got a clean frame from cab forward. Nothing on it. And then hang a motor over in there, put wood blocks under it, get the motor leveled up where I want it to be, left, right, where I want it to be, and build motor mounts, get the transmission in there, get the transmission leveled up where the drive line angle is correct, build a cross member for the transmission, just do all that stuff, and then you've got the opportunity to get your clutch alignment like it's supposed to be. You got the opportunity to fix a lot of issues. Plus, you get to move the motor back so you can change the weight transfer on it, all that stuff. But at some point, you got to realize that you don't have to call Gordon Ramsay to make a bowl of soup. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to turn on the damn stove and do it. And this is one of the times where I'm not trying to build a race car. Am I going to take it to the track every once in a while? Probably. But I'm not trying to build a race car. I'm trying to build a shop truck. So does it really matter if the weight transfer isn't perfect, or the ballast in it isn't exactly perfect, if the motor's set forward a little bit? No, it really doesn't matter, because that's not what I'm trying to do with this truck. So again, I have to back up every once in a while and just look for the simplest way out of a situation. And it may not be the ideal way out of the situation, but it is the simplest way to get out of the situation. There's two things going on. Anytime, one, that you try to build something a little custom that wasn't that way from the factory, you're gonna run into some issues. Number two, and what we're running here, is when you're following somebody else's work that you really don't know what they had in mind when they were doing it. You just kind of picked it up with no real information about it. You run into issues. Now compound that and do something custom that follows somebody else's work. Where sometimes, in order to fix a odd problem, you just got to come up with an odd solution. And that's what we're doing right now. Again, if you're on an endless budget, or you have a $1 million fab shop, you're not going to do it this way. You're gonna fix the issues. You're gonna do like I talked about before, and you're gonna mount the motor in the proper location. You're gonna mount the transmission in proper location. You're gonna go through and do all that stuff. I'm kind of pigeonholed right now in the fact that this is supposed to be a budget build, so we got to come up with a budget solution. And right now, the cost of a piece of round bar and a couple of bolts is a whole lot better solution budget-wise than redoing all of that under the truck. And keeping in mind a realistic idea of what we're doing with the truck, which is it's a shop truck. I mean, it's made to cruise around and go have fun with every once in a while. If this was a hardcore race car, I wouldn't worry with any of that stuff anyway. I would have done cut all that stuff out, put a front plate on it and a mid plate on it, and just I'd be out of the situation. I wouldn't even have to deal with any of the stuff. Solves a lot of problems. You know, it's just one of those things. So I'm gonna go to town and look and see if I can't find me some PVC pipe or something and some rubber cement and just make me something up. You know I'm playing. Don't do that. That you can't joke anymore. Jeez. All right, so a quick tip. I found me a piece of scrap pipe laying around. When you're getting ready to cut your piece of pipe to length, I use a piece of tape. I lay the piece of tape around it, and if you lay it so your joints overlap perfectly, then it gives you a straight, perfect line to cut. when you use your little death wheel to cut it off with. You just follow the tape line around through there. You'll get a straight cut every time. So I'm gonna whack this off real quick, and I'll have my right length of pipe. This pipe is a little thicker and a little heavier than the stuff that was on it, but I think it'll work just fine. I mean, what's worse could happen, right? I mean, it ain't always be any worse than we are now. Man. Clean cut. Works. Yeah. Stripped down the bare metal, polished up a little bit on the ends with a finishing file there. So now we have a blank bar to build our Z-bar off of. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and move that bracket on the frame rail forward. After I move it forward, I'll stick this piece in here, and then I'm gonna carefully remove the bars off the old one, the pieces that go down and out. And once this is in here, then I'll tack those in place where they need to be, pull it all back out, finish weld them, and I should have a working Z-bar. So there's what we got. It's on both sides. Now keep in mind, it is still running downhill a little bit, and nothing is bolted down yet. So I can work on trying to bring this up a hair, but that only really mattered on the old one because the arms, let me use this file here, the arms were parallel with it, so the arm would have been running like this. Now, when I weld the new arms on, if I weld the arm at a slight angle so the arm is straight up and down, then that being a little off wouldn't really hurt you. Again, nothing's welded, it's just kind of laid there, but you can see I've got the bar laid right there over to go to that rod that goes right through there. You kind of see what I got there now. Again, it's not welded or anything, it's just laid up there so I can see how everything lines up. Fortunately, there's a piece of tape laying right there right in the way, but there's that rod that comes out of the bottom of the floor, goes over to that, and then of course over to the Z-bar. Now, my idea is that I'm going to, this right here is laid over a little bit, so I got to stand it up straight, but then I'm gonna weld it in a way so it is straight in line. It's perfectly straight with that rod that comes out of the floor. Now this steel runs this way just a little bit. You can see it, it's obvious. So I'm gonna weld the bars on to match this surface and that down there. That way this being cocked a little bit won't matter. That's my game plan right now, but again, just in the mock-up stages, haven't made up my mind yet, just laying everything in place a little bit. One of them big tater head tags. Big tater head tag. Again, now I'm not recommending anybody else do what I'm doing. I'm doing this because it is a budget build and I know it will work. It's not optimal, but it will work and it'll get us on the road. So this side over here now has been welded into place.
For some reason this is getting blurry when I get in, but this side over here has been welded into place. You can see it is straight. It is straight this way and this way. It is dead nut straight. Now this still runs downhill a little bit, but I just welded that this way a little bit, which made it stand up straight. Again, that rod right there connected to it real well, and it just goes up, down, that's all it does. And it doesn't move that far, so it doesn't move that far, so it's not like it's got a long way to go, so that little bit's not going to matter. Now down here, I haven't put this side in place yet, but my gut feeling is that I'm going to have to extend that arm down there just a little bit, make it a little longer, because I think it was already a little too short anyway, so make it a little longer and give it a proper angle on the clutch fork back there. This is not how I plan to do this situation. You've seen it earlier in the video. I was just gonna wipe everything out and start over. That way I could get everything dead nuts, level and straight. But again, the primary purpose of this vehicle is to drive it around town, go get parts, deliver stuff in it. That right there will last forever. It's not like it's going to be any problem. And, you know, who knows? Down the road somewhere later on, maybe this thing gets a multi-disc clutch set up and a hydraulics clutch set up and does away with all that. But right now, it's about showing people how to build something on a budget. And when you're on a budget, sometimes you have to break out the fire saw and the man version of a glue gun there and make stuff happen. Well, there he is, all done up, painted black and ready to hit the truck. There she is. Yes, it is leaned at a little bit angle, but the bars are welded straight up and down. It works. Tested, it works. Moves the clutch, disengages. Well, best I can tell, I'm sure it's going to have to be adjusted. The great thing is I welded everything up so the adjustment is almost all the way in. There's a little bit you could take out. You could take about 2 rounds out, but I got a mile I can adjust it in. So a little forethought on that one. We got out of that sticky situation. I'll be honest, y'all seen it. I don't take no scenes out. I'll show you everything as it happens in real life, ups and downs. And y'all seen it. I was frustrated. She was about to get the proverbial towel thrown in, but we persevered, and we have a working clutch. Now I just got to get the rest of it buttoned up. But unfortunately, like I said, I'm running out of time to work on the Galaxy to get ready to make a test pass this weekend. Now, the good thing is it's holiday weekend, a long weekend for most people. And the good thing is that I can address the issues with the Galaxy, get the Galaxy out there, make a test pass on Friday, and then go right back to work on this thing. So, yeah, you know, it won't happen as quick as I thought, but we're addressing issues that needed to be addressed. Header stuck on. The header even fits now. It's only got 2 bolts in it just to make sure it fits, because I wanted to check the fitment. If you look right down in there, wait a minute, there it is. That right there that the light is on is the back of the bar it pushes in. I wanted to make sure I had enough room for the exhaust. Now she's close, but you could just about stick your finger in there. So plenty of room. We're almost to the point where we can let it make some noise. Headers are in there. Need to do a few little minor things now, but again, like I said, I've got to jump over and get on the Galaxy. I'm already way behind on time on that one. Basically, this video I wanted dedicated just to this truck, and I'm going to jump over on the Galaxy now and get it in. So we're going to call this video done for now, and I will pick it back up in the next one and combine it with a couple of others, because honestly, I don't think it'll take much to get to that point now. So we're going to call this one done for now. And I'm going to get on the Galaxy and try to get it ready to make test passes tomorrow evening. Yeah, if the weather holds out. So yeah, I eat up a lot of my time working with this, but it was something that I wanted to get done and see if we could make some headway on it, and we did. So now It's about getting over to the Galaxy and making a couple changes on it and see if we can get it to go down good and smooth and get the brake issue straightened out on it that we were having. Probably what I'm gonna do is, because I don't really want these videos to go over an hour, because I still use my phone to do these with, and memory space. It gets hard to download them onto YouTube once I get over an hour. So we're going to end this one here, and probably what I'll do is make a short video with the test passes from the Galaxy on it, so y'all still get to see some track time and stuff and some racing. Hope you got something out of this video. If you didn't get nothing else, I hope you figured out that frustration is not your friend, and frustration will kick you in the teeth every time. Honestly, may would have gotten a little further if I hadn't let frustration just shut me down for a few minutes. And at the end of the day, it wasn't really that terrible of an idea. As always, God bless you. I hope the Lord blesses you more today than He did yesterday. If you don't mind, if you haven't already, please take a minute to click that subscribe button. Really getting close to those 1,000 that we were desperately after. So it would really help us a lot. We're really close to it. Comment. Give me a little thumbs up. Share it. Whatever you feel the need to do. But I'm out, guys. This is it. Old Waylon is close. Matter of fact, I'm probably the only other thing I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna go ahead and set the hood on it and bolt it down so that it can go back outside and be covered up. God bless you guys. We'll see you in the next one.
I'd say he's a nut job.